Okay guys, so Sony and also PlayStation, they have finally accepted the fate that their live service strategy is not going well. They finally recognize it in an investor call, and guys, things are looking pretty shaky for Marathon, pretty shaky for Bungie, because they finally have to accept the truth. Now, in a recent investor call, something crazy happened. Sony CFO Lin Tao explained that their strategy wasn't working that well as intended, and also that now they plan to release Marathon by March 2026. But here's the kicker. This is what she said exactly. We are now fixing the problems, so we believe this launch will happen for now. And if this launch is cancelled, we need to do the revision of the valuation. However, as of now, this is not expected. So they are already ready for Plan B. They already know that this game might kick the bucket literally after release or even before release. Like, they believe that if they do another closed beta, for example, or an open beta, and there's no interest whatsoever in the game, they may literally cancel the game even before freaking release. And let's read between the lines. They are ready for Plan B because it's an option. It's on the table. This is the following. We are fixing the problems. We believe this launch will happen. So they believe, so they hope. They're hopeful. And if it's cancelled, they need to review why. They need to understand why it got cancelled, what's the reasons, and why was the money wasted. So effectively, Bungie is absolutely going to burn in flames, because Sony also confirms that Bungie is now becoming part of PlayStation Studios. This independence is getting lighter. After buying PlayStation Studios for $3.6 billion, that was just literally 2 years ago, right? Now, 2 years after Sony's acquired Bungie for this amount of money, the Destiny 2 developer is slowly losing its independence it was originally promised. The deal, which closed in mid-2022, was supposed to let Bungie operate as an independent subsidiary under Sony's umbrella. But after missed revenue targets, internal struggles, and multiple rounds of layoffs, Bungie's role within PlayStation ecosystem is changing dramatically. Another example why just buying a studio, and this happened to Microsoft, not just to Sony, this happens to EA as well when they bought studios. Like, you cannot buy a studio and just expect it to run as before, because your current company, as in PlayStation or Microsoft, for example, their policies are very different from the studio you're buying, so they will not be compatible. They will clash, and you will be basically getting rid of people because of the clashes. It just does not work. The only growth which works is organic growth, as in building studios from within, from scratch, which have the same mentality, same work ethos, and stuff like that. But buying studios, guys, it's never gonna work. That's the problem. Over the past year and a half, several key departments at Bungie have been moved under Sony. This includes marketing, publishing, HR, IT, production, and most recently strategic partnerships. So basically, the only really people left at Bungie are the hardcore developers, some managers, I guess, right? Some of the, leadership, executives, whatever, and I guess basic standard admins, like working on, bugs and data, maybe testers as well, quality assurance testers, maybe script writers potentially, right? But like all of the big departments which basically make sure that a company can actually run, like legal, HR, IT, production, right? Like, all these departments are fundamental for a company to run. Now they're all part of PlayStation or Sony. Sony now says Bungie is becoming part of PlayStation Studios. That's right, that's it. This is the end. The latest update comes straight from Sony during the company's Q1 FY 2025 earnings call earlier today. Newly appointed Chief Financial Officer Lin Tao addressed Bungie's status and confirmed that its autonomy is slowly fading. About the governance of Bungie, at the time of acquisition, we were offering a very independent environment, so that was one way of thinking. However, we have gone through structural reform as we announced last year, so this independence is getting lighter and Bungie is shifting into a role which is becoming more part of PlayStation Studios, and integration is proceeding. In the long term, you can see this as an ongoing process. So the direction, it becomes part of PlayStation Studios. Yeah, that's right. In simple terms, that means Bungie isn't operating fully on its own anymore. Bit by bit, the studio is being folded into the larger organization, just like Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, or Guerrilla. While no specific timeline was given, Sony clearly sees Bungie as part of its long-term plans for its first-party development, especially around live service projects. However, the problem is here. Here's what they said. So, all of which brings us today. This is in the Q&A in the financial meeting they had 2 days ago, and concerned questions from investors regarding PlayStation Live service plans as part of Sony's latest financial results, Q&A. Speaking via an interpreter as detailed, Sony's Chief Financial Officer and Corporate Executive Officer Lin Tao acknowledges that somewhat negative news its live service strategy has so far generated, specifically referencing Concord and Marathon's recent delay. That's right, negative news, right? Live service strategy is really bad. In terms of the transformation, she added later, it's not entirely going smoothly. But from a longer term perspective, if you look at the changes over 5 years, you see that there has definitely been change. So not even improvements, that's the problem. Like, they're literally telling you in your face, yeah, we screwed, and Concord is basically trash, and now Marathon may be cancelled, so we don't know yet, we'll see, right? Of course, she added, we recognize that there are still issues, many issues, so we should learn lessons from mistakes and make sure that we introduce live service content where there's less waste and it's more smooth. This follows comments from PlayStation Studios boss Herman Holst earlier this year, saying company remains committed to building a diverse and resilient portfolio of live service titles, including the upcoming Fair game. Now, honestly, guys, I believe that Bungie is absolutely cooked. Marathon is absolutely cooked. I'm very sorry, but that's the truth at hand. I mean, look at this. Like, Sonya, the independent era is gone, as Smajity says here as well. Going through structural reform. Yeah, just, I mean, come on, man. I mean, that's just ridiculous, right? Sony CFO Lin Tao says Bungie is in the process of becoming part of PlayStation Studios. The independence is getting lighter, so Bungie is shifting into a role which is becoming more of a PlayStation. In the long term, you can see this as an ongoing process. This is the CFO. Bungie complained about wanting independence only to get absorbed by Sony. Oh man, this is ridiculous. But yeah, this is the problem. This is why this is really important to understand, guys. You cannot force live service games into players. It just does not work, right? This is not a news article here from PC Gamer. Marathon will be out before March 2026, says Sony CFO, but this is not a commitment. We believe the launch will happen. Yeah, that's our hope. We hope it's gonna happen, but you know, it came only a few months after the spectacular, hugely expensive studio-killing failure of Concord. There's a serious risk of history repeating itself, and I'm sure I'm not the only one to have wondered whether Sony will actually release Marathon at all, risking another disaster, or simply cut its losses. For now, at least for the party line, hasn't changed during the Q&A following a financial report. CFO Lin Tao not only reaffirmed that the new release date will come into the autumn, but also we expect the launch to happen within the fiscal year. So yeah, my God, guys, this is crazy. But yeah. This is what it is. I mean, this is the VGC translation. This is the article. Sony CFO says Marathon is expected to release before March, and Bungie's independence is getting lighter. We are fixing the problem, so we believe this launch will happen. Again, this is not them being confident. This is them telling you that they're shit scared and they don't know if they're going to be able to do it, because when you say in a financial call you're fixing the problems and you hope, you believe that the release will happen, and if not, you will analyze why it did not happen, that just screams to me that they are panicking like crazy. Yeah, so this is just crazy, guys. Again, this is what happens when companies such as Sony follows trends, and Bungie as well. Stop following trends. If a game company such as Escape from Tarkov, or a different company, made a smash release and yeah, they were successful because it was like a niche or whatever, that does not mean that you just copy and paste the idea, you make your own shooter looter extractor game, and then suddenly you will win or you will succeed. That's not how it works. You cannot just copy and paste. The reason why indies, for example, right now are very successful, Clear Obscure, Expedition 33, that's one example. The reason why they're so successful is very simple, because they do their own thing, and gamers like things which are refreshing, new, interesting, never seen before. They do not care about the same slop again, which was done, rehashed over the last decade or 2 decades. That's the difference. So guys, that's it for today's video. As always, I shall see you later in the next ones. Bye.